Jason Corbett is the founder, frontman, and creative force behind Vancouver-based post-punk and darkwave band Actors. Widely regarded as one of Canada's most compelling modern acts in the genre, known for their sleek cinematic sound that blends elements of goth, synth, and new wave, Actors broke through with their debut album in 2018, It Will Come to You, and followed it up with Acts of Worship, earning critical acclaim and a growing global audience. Beyond the stage, Jason is a producer and is the founder of Jacknife Studio. He's also a composer who's worked on TV and film projects, building a career defined by artistic evolution, resilience, and a commitment to honest expression. With a new album on the way, Our Love Will Live Forever, and an international tour ahead, Actors continues to carve out a distinct and timeless space in modern music. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Wow, what an introduction. Yeah, I'm impressed. Who is that guy?
It's your bio. It's your bio. It's good. Well, it's good to see you again. I don't know if you remember this. I talked to you before your show in Montreal. I didn't know you were from the band. I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know, because I remember thinking back, because I was asking about traffic. I'm like, did you take the 15 here? And you were like, I don't know what road we took, and you didn't correct me. And right. I thought it was pretty cool after him. And then I saw you get up on stage, and I'm like, okay, I didn't put it together, and I felt very embarrassed. But as I was saying,
it didn't register to me, so that's good.
That's good. But as I was saying before, we started recording here, I can't get enough of the music. I really can't. It's been on all my playlists. I'm sure when I get my Spotify Wrap this year, it'll say 1,000 hours of Actors. I'm sure it'll.
Amazing.
Yeah. So happy to help with the streaming numbers, Jason. But
my dog's here.
I love it. So. Bring him in.
Hi, Mary.
She? What's her name?
It's Mary.
Oh, Mary.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary. What kind of dog?
She's a rescue from middle of Canada. She's
nice
cross of a bunch of things. I like to think she's got a little Rottweiler in her.
I was just gonna say she looks part Rottweiler. I had a Rottweiler years ago, but yeah, cute.
Yeah, pretty girl.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Bye, Mary. Anyways, as I was saying, I was thinking a lot about this before we jumped on. What is it about the music? Like, why is it so compelling? Why is it on repeat for me so much? Why do I love it? Beyond the fact that I have good taste, I think, Jason, I just want to jump right into the music for context, because
absolutely,
your music has been described as cinematic, almost like a neon-noir dream, I think I read. And I love that description when I saw it, a neon-noir dream. Now, when you hear that, does it feel like an accurate, description or reflection of the music or what you're creating, or is it something else entirely to you?
There's kind of no easy way of talking about what you do as a musician. You end up sounding like you're, patting yourself on the back or something about it. First of all, hearing you describe your connection to the music, I can't express how profound it is for me to hear things like that, because ultimately, if I call myself an artist, a musician, you want to connect with people. So when you hear about these connections and people really getting into the music on that level, that's ultimately my goal. Because, when you're locked in a room writing a song and you're working through whatever feelings, if it's coming from an honest place, really what you're doing is trying to connect to the universe somehow. I feel like. I have a theory of why, we have a really strong, core fan base. And I think if people really delve into the music and let it kind of permeate, I think there's an honesty to the lyrical content as well as the musical points of reference that really resonate emotionally with people. And I think that's what I get from music and from film. And I'm very influenced by movies I've seen. And, before we started recording, we were talking about Gary Newman. And, I distinctly remember coming home from the babysitters on the back seat of my mom's car, laying down on fake leather back bench seat and hearing Cars on the AM radio as a little kid. And it's funny because when I started creating music honestly as an expression of what I want to do, which came a bit later than my earlier musical endeavors, I started tapping into these synthesizer sounds of my youth and this nostalgia and all these different feelings. And it really bubbled up, honestly. aside from me knowing that there was a dark wave or goth scene or whatever, I didn't even know that existed out in the world. Like the festivals we play, I didn't even know about them.
Right.
So yeah, to make a long-winded answer of the question, it's like I feel like once people tap in and listen with their guard down, they get connected to what is there spiritually, I think.
Thank you for breaking that down. There's also something timeless about the music, right? Like it feels like it exists across decades all at once to me,
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned it, you had the memory there. Like, do you think you're pulling from nostalgia, or is it tapping into something deeper? Because there, I definitely hear 80s, 90s alternative goth influence in there.
Well, I just start tapping into like a beat that I like, and then a synth sound, and then I just don't censor myself, and then I just see what happens. And I grew up listening to like Led Zeppelin and Judas Priest, then Metallica and Massive Attack and Nick Cave, and it goes all over. And then David Bowie was always through that. So, and then I like modern production. Like I like techno and certain house. So like Vitalik is one of my favorite artists. So I think as for mixing and production, I very much try to embrace newer techniques and sounds or fidelity. But then I'm very much attached to like the verse chorus of like an 80s song. I feel like the pop song in the 80s just nailed it. It's like that 3.5 minute journey of like verse, chorus, verse, so there's these touchstones, and I like synthesizer sounds from like the early 80s. So, I'm a product of my environment in so many different ways. And I feel that it comes together in a real natural way. Whereas maybe sometimes like you'll see, especially like in the Darkwave scene right now, there's a lot of bands that kind of sound similar. And there's very much of a tribalism in it. Like, oh, I'm going to make a song that sounds like A Forest from The Cure. And you see these different iterations of the bands doing it. And that's fantastic because like people, that's their scene and their tribe, and it's very recognizable. I like to think we have another layer to that, and then another layer, with the lyrical content and the different influences we draw from. We can kind of dip our toes in whatever we want.
Yeah, and the male and female vocals as well. It does go a layer deeper. I don't know if maybe it's something about our generation. I think we're kind of age adjacent. I'm not sure, but we grew up listening to all that stuff. Like it was so eclectic. We were listening to, like you said, like hip hop, and then we were listening to house, and we were listening to goth, and it's almost a shame that we have to like. I think about this a lot, like that we have to label it now, like your Darkwave or your goth or your, like, you know what I'm saying? Like where the music just sits in its own category sometimes, and that's cool. It just makes stuff
like,
that sounds good.
You said hip hop, like I loved hip hop in the 90s. Yeah. Like I was listening to a lot of hip hop. And then, I just kind of started going into different directions. But even when you say like labels like Darkwave or post-punk, like traditionally we label ourselves as post-punk or post-punk, but then there's like a different school of like idols post-punk where fans of theirs are like, this isn't post-punk. But to me, what's post-punk about us is that I like our music to exist in the mindset of the original post-punk that came after punk in the early 80s with synthesizers and a little bit of different kind of new wave flavors and experience, where it's like, it's the spirit of post-punk that I feel like we're doing.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you have to give a point of reference for new fans too, right? So you do have to call it something.
Absolutely.
That's my take anyway. But
it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it really is. Well, you talked about your earliest influences there, but I know you personally, you went through a lot of different bands and styles and iterations, rockabilly, indie, alternative. Like the question is, this is a question I have, were you experimenting or searching for something you couldn't yet define?
Started out playing metal because I felt aggressive and I loved playing guitar. And then, I was like kind of in Vancouver, always wanting to like play music, and kind of drifted from a couple different styles, like. And I'd say by my late 20s, I was really focused on writing and trying to get signed to a major label and get on the radio and do all these things, even though that wasn't necessarily my point of reference artistically from an inspiration point. I just like, like your parents, like, you think you're going to make it? Are you going to make it in the industry? So there came a point where I just was like, I'm done chasing all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sick of it. Like I was 28 years old and labels were telling me like, what are we going to do with you? Like, you're too old. Like we're going to sign you. You're going to make a record, go out and tour, and then you're going to be in your early 30s. What do we do with that? How do you break an artist like that? That's literally the responses I got from like 3 different major labels.
That's wild, man. Like music is music, guys. Like what?
Yeah. Well, I feel like those barriers really have come down. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because of, the aging generation or Generation X getting older and still being creative. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Also, streaming services have really opened up the door for people to, as much as it's it's evil in so many ways, but also it's a great tool for people to discover things independently of what's being force fed to them through commercial radio or Much Music or MTV or something. So, yeah, did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, but as you're talking, it's crazy to think about, because remember I was talking about at the beginning of the conversation is I had been playing actors, I'd been streaming actors, but I didn't know what you look like. Right. So I met you, talked to you. I had no idea you were in the band.
Yeah.
Right? I just liked the music. Right. So, yeah. I think that mentality from decades ago with these record labels of marketability or whatever you want to call it, you get it to a point, but I think now the world is so much smaller in terms of, like you said, anybody, like I can, start a YouTube channel and stream whatever I want and go viral overnight. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like that, totally. Which is, it's liberating in a way. And I'm well, listen, I'm glad you told the record labels, or you I guess you didn't tell them anything, but you moved on from that, because to your point, I read that you said you got exhausted chasing what you thought was success, right?
Yeah.
So, what did success mean to you back then? What does it look like now, I guess, is the question.
Well, I feel like at that time I wasn't emotionally ready even to have been on a major label. We were in talks with Andy Gill from Gang of Four. He was going to fly out to Vancouver, or we're going to record his record. The manager from the Killers wanted to help me co-write the record. All of it fell apart. And I think because on a subconscious level, I was going to self-sabotage myself anyways, because it was too scary. But as time went on, I still kind of created some music. I was releasing like a single or 2 a year. I was producing other artists. That was a big one. When I started working with other bands, even if I wasn't 100% in love with their music, I had to really admire people putting their art on the table front and center, putting money behind it to follow their dreams. And you realize like, oh, everyone deserves to express themselves and to fight for their dreams and do all these things. And success isn't measured just financially. And I had kind of reserved myself to like, well, I'll release an actor song here or there and I'll produce other artists. And then that's when Artifact Records reached out to me and wanted to put a full length out. And they really had to convince me to even do that. But once they did, and I was comfortable and we released the record, I found a whole other level of artistic fulfillment and joy that I've been able to share with people all around the world. And it came from a point of just like surrender. Like I'm not like, I don't think like, oh, I hope this next song appeals to the goth scene or whatever. It's like, I'm having fun exploring exactly what I want to explore musically and release. And it's very honest. And I feel that honesty is what people connect to. And I feel that's where the true success lies.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And if our shows get busy and busier, that's great. That's been the trend. So You
Oh,
know,
that's happening. No, I guarantee that's happening. You're meant to play on the biggest stages. I believe that. It's funny, life in the universe. How again, not to be super cliche about it, but sometimes when we think that there's a roadblock or a door shuts, and it's leading to something bigger eventually. It's
I
just the way
believe
life
that.
works.
Yeah.
That's a fact, right?
Yep.
So like was act I guess actors was born out of inspiration, right? Like not hitting a wall, I guess you could say it was inspiration, or like you said, letting go, right?
Yeah.
You described it as the moment you started creating from what you actually felt, right?
Yeah.
What you actually felt, which I love, right? Because we talk a lot about authenticity on the show. Like, so why, in your opinion, like why is it hard, or is it hard for artists to do that, lean into that authenticity? Because sometimes, to your point earlier, sometimes people think that they need to fit into a certain category or appeal to a record label. So why is it so hard to do sometimes?
I think there's a lot of contributing factors. Some people just want to be famous. So they're going to choose the path that they think will bring them to fame or will bring them to a financial level of success or the audience. Um, and then there's people on the other side of that who are so deep into their expression that even the format of the music that they're playing is almost unlistenable to 90% of the population. So
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts to being an artist and to playing music. And I think what's important is just whatever you choose, don't lose yourself in the goal so much as like let the universe. I say universe, it's like whether it's God or whatever. You have to trust in the process, and you're a conduit. And the more you can tap into that honesty, the more successful you're going to be, whether that's monetarily, spiritually, whatever. When I'm in the studio with a vocalist and I'm, coaching them through a take or something, you can hear when they tap into like how it should be sung. And then you can hear when they're trying to sing it a certain way, or they maybe don't know the notes well enough. And you hear it, it when you hear it. And you also know when you don't hear it, but sometimes you don't know why. It's like you go to see a band and something, you're like, I don't like this band. And then you find out later, oh, the two of the members hate each other and they broke up a year later. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So even when it comes from show to show, you have to be present and a conduit of some sort.
Well, 100%. I'm going to ask about the live shows in a minute, because
Sure.
like words can't describe how much I enjoyed the energy at that show. So anyways, I'll get to that. But I know you talk a lot about, when I was prepping for this, you talk a lot about David Lynch as being an inspiration. You like, some of the things he talks about. And he talks about creativity coming from stillness, right? Obviously, right? Like we're talking about that. And stillness allows you to go a little bit deeper, right? Allows things to come through. And you were telling me that you have a meditation practice, right? How has that
Mhm.
influenced your creativity? And maybe just tell us a little bit about that. How long have you been doing it? What is it? Is it structured? Is it daily? Is it just a way you live now?
Right. There were there was a couple of people in my life who were like, Jay, you have to do transcendental meditation. I suffered from really bad anxiety for most of my life, um, which I have mostly under wraps now, which is great. Um, I was very reluctant to start transcendental meditation because I thought, well, really, I have to pay money to learn a mantra to like meditate. Like it just felt like a pyramid scheme scam. I was like, this isn't real. But then I started looking into it, and I was already a fan of David Lynch. And I thought, if David Lynch can do these, if he can make a movie like Blue Velvet while he's meditating, then I was no longer afraid of becoming this blissed out hippie. I was like, oh, I can still access that dark side. Um, and so I first tried it around 2008. Not tried it, learned it here in Vancouver. And I did it a lot. And then, I fell out with it a little bit and then started doing it again. And now it's a part of my life. I'd be lying if I said I do 20 minutes every morning and 20 minutes every night. I find that I'm almost afraid to commit to it that much because it's powerful. Um, but I do it in times of when like I can feel things mounting. So in the evening, most evenings as I'm getting ready for bed, or if I'm laying down, I will do my mantra and I will do the transcendental meditation. And when you think about thoughts and ideas becoming thoughts becoming reality, like I feel like that's your direct line is transcendental meditation. It's like, and the thoughts come, and you're drawing things that you want in your life towards yourself. So the more you do the meditation, the more you're just in sync with where you should be. And so, yeah, usually mornings, I'm like a coffee guy trying to rev up, checking my socials, that stuff. If I'm having a rough day, I'll do a little bit in the middle of the day, but nighttime is usually when I do it. And I find it to be, it's a profound practice. And like, I think any way of having a still mind and to shut the mind off, especially with all the social media and external stimuli we're having, I think it's really important.
And so hard to do, just like we're dopamine addicted. I mean, we open our phone, we have instant hits of it. It's tough to like, sit in the stillness. So like, which brings up another question, like, if ideas are existing outside of us, science is actually catching up to this too, by the way. Right. So we're figuring this out. Like, as you were talking about something you tap into, when you're creating, do you feel like you are creating or are you receiving?
Well, I feel like there's the receiving and then there is the creative, the skill of being able to work through something, the craft. There's the creating and there's the craft and there's the initial spark in the idea, to kind of paraphrase David Lynch saying like, follow through on the idea. I'm working on the Actors record and I see some people be able to write an album, record it in like a matter of like 2 months. And for me, I have to give myself permission. And I've thought of myself as a searcher. I'm searching for that truth that I could tap into, that I'm not just writing music because I have to have a song ready for the record. So that process takes a bit longer. But I feel like every song is born of a feeling or even if it's a beat or something comes to you that feels. That's why we named that album It Will Come to You, because it was like you get into this flow and it does, like these things appear and you follow through with them. And lyrically, I usually don't write the lyrics until the song is quite fleshed out. And then I hear what the music is telling me. I don't sit there and go like, oh, okay, here's a beat and I love it and it's going to be a song about, like, I usually set up a microphone and start phonetically singing along, and like you really start to hear what the music is telling you, and you're writing music with yourself and the universe, Isn't
that crazy? Like just when you take a second, you start like creating, the creative process becomes what you feel as opposed to what you're trying to do, just as it comes to you. You make the most compelling music of your career, maybe, but your music does sit in that space, but it's dark, which I like I'm attracted to dark music. It's dark, but it's not hopeless. It's brutal. I don't know. I really have to break this down, Jason, because I'm like, I love dark music, like the darker, the better, thematic, like really emotional. Like I like dark music, and maybe that's why I'm drawn so much to the music, because it's dark, but it isn't hopeless, right? At all. Mm-hmm. Is that intentional as well?
It just comes out that way.
Yeah.
I've tried to write happy songs. I thought, because someone was telling me like, oh, my band's doing really well with radio right now. We're making money off radio. I thought, oh yeah, why don't I just write a more radio friendly song? And I started listening to like more radio friendly songs, like even that are more in like the indie rock vibe or whatever, and not strictly like pop. And I was like, man, this stuff is too happy for me. Like it makes it disposable in some way. Like when things are on the nose, happy, and like somehow there's no deeper soul to it. And it becomes this transient music to me.
Yeah.
And so I think we're just, as people, we're drawn to things that speak to us. And like with you or myself, like the dark music, for some reason, that's what we like, you know?
It's interesting. I saw an interview with Robert Smith years ago, and he was talking about the same thing. Like, you know, he tried, and he had these little bouts where he made like happy songs,
Right.
whatever, but they didn't, and they became hits or whatever, but they didn't resonate. They weren't a Cure sound. I mean, even true
Yeah.
Cure fans would get irritated when we heard, you know, Friday I'm in Love or Love Cat. Like now I think it's awesome, but you know, back then we were irritated.
Yeah. We, when actors played on KEXP, we were talking about The Cure. They came up and I was comparing our song, We Don't Have to Dance, to, it's kind of our Friday I'm in Love. But even that, like it's not, it's still darker, but it's hopeful.
It is. No, we don't have to dance. I still find it dark. I mean, I like it. And you know,
to me, that was like, oh my God, our fans are going to think that's too, too happy sounding.
No, you know, I feel like at some point I need to do an episode on this with a psychologist as to why we're drawn to dark things and dark music, you know, and things like, I really feel like we need to do that. I don't know if it's a generational thing or something, but, you know, there's an emotion, and it's a good one. Yeah. When I hear dark music, and I don't know why that is, because it's inherently dark.
You know, it's what I've been thinking about this a lot the past little while, and especially when you look at analytics and numbers, and I see bands that are in the darkwave scene or goth or post-punk, any of that adjacent dark music, and like the Spotify numbers generally are much lower than you would be if like it was like a band that kind of sounds like Tame Impala, or it could just be on a playlist. It's not uncommon for a band to have like 500,000 or 1 million monthly listeners. But in our scene, like, you know, we tour around the world and do quite well. And, you know, right now we're at 120,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, somewhere around there. And like, it feels like a success, but then you go to like any entry level, like indie rock band from the States, and they're like so much higher. And it made me think like, oh, well, what do I expect? Like I'm asked, like I'm doing music that's focusing in on a feeling and a sound that not everyone, it's not for everyone. It's not background. I'm going to go to the grocery store, happy music. It's like, you're invested. And I see that, like even our label says, they've told me over the years, like Actors fans are invested fans. Like they fly around to different cities. I see there's like people I'll see like on every show in Europe or in the States. And it's amazing. And people like that, you know, we drop a single and they buy it right away. It's like consistent. Like, so there's like this fan connection. So we build this strong fan base, but I don't like, how does that fan base, it can never be mainstream because we exist on the fringes of that. We're the outsiders of that. Because a lot of people, they're passive music listeners. They have careers, they have families, they go to church, whatever they do. And for some reason, we just have better taste than them.
That's facts. That's facts, Jason. It's so true. You know, like if I knew you, like, because you're not playing in Montreal, I think, on this next tour.
Not on this trip.
See, what? Like, that's bullshit, Jason. Like, you got to.
No,
like,
we're coming.
I'll tell you what I was talking to. Listen, if you're better than Gary Newman, I get it. But Gary said, I actually had a chat with him about this. They weren't even going to come, but they wanted to come to Montreal.
Right.
Really bad. So they made a detour, picked a theater at the last minute and came to Montreal because he really wanted to come to Montreal, I guess, because the rabid fan base. It was, so you got to come to Montreal. Well, listen.
Oh, yeah.
Just for me. Just for but to your point, your live shows, they're described as immersive and intense. I've been to them, right? Like they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of energy. It's crazy that you say you deal with anxiety because you're such a fantastic frontman. Like, I'm sure that's intentional, right? But what are you actually trying to create for people in the room when they come see you live?
One thing I noticed right when we started playing, kind of right around when right before the debut full length came out, was people would say to me, it's so refreshing that, you're so approachable. All of you are so nice. It must be because you're Canadian. But I realized it's not because we're Canadian. It's just because we're present and having a good time and appreciate, like I appreciate people being there and being on that journey with me and with the band.
It's the merch table philosophy, right? Like where
Yeah.
You do such a good job of connecting with the
Yeah.
fans, right? You're known for hanging out after the shows with fans. Like I said, I
Right.
met you before your show. And
now I know what I was going to say.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Basically, what that told me when people were saying that to me was, oh, it's okay to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have this facade like I'm dark goth guy. Like I don't have
that's
to.
That's what I was expecting, Jason. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, and on stage, like I'll jump around and I'll be silly between songs, and we're very serious when we were playing the songs. Like the songs are being played seriously. In between the songs, it's like you're there, we're there together, and so I don't censor who I am or how I am, and that goes against maybe what the genre would like or want, or even what might be recommended as a frontman. I don't know. So it's just being that honesty is what I think has been good for us.
I think the authenticity part of things, as long as you stay with that and you stay somewhat like, I remember like, years, like I'm dating myself, but I remember seeing Green Day in a 500 capacity theater at the university, Green Day, right? And they would come out and they would hang out with everybody and try skateboard tricks. I remember this clearly, like Billy Joe was out there, and other bands through the years. And I think that because of that, when you build that community early on and that rabid fan base of loyal, invested fans, as you talk about, you're going to have longevity. I just think that, and
it's
only,
real grassroots.
It is. And I think, like, to your point, if you're the dark goth guy in the hood and everything all the time, you can't keep that up. And eventually people would become disappointed because they see you having a Slurpee at 7-Eleven or something. Right. So that I don't know, but that's kind of my take on it. But you've done such a good job of being, of connecting with the fans. And I think that the music that's dark, and I've seen you joke around between the songs and things like that, and it made me love the music even more, if that makes sense.
Nice. Nice to hear.
Yeah, like it's real. I thought about that. I was like, because it's like on one side it's dark and it's whatever, and then on the other side he's joking. It makes you more likable, Yeah. So I was going to ask about your most memorable live moment. Do you remember it?
Oh.
Or most memorable unexpected interaction with a fan you've ever had? Since you are approachable.
Oh, I've it's like when people ask you what's your favorite city to play or something.
It's Montreal. We already know that. What's number 2?
Well, Montreal, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back to Montreal after our first show there because I fell off the stage.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
So the stage wasn't that high, but I was having a really good time, as I do. And I had my guitar at the end of the show and I kind of hit my chord and I was pretending to throw it into the crowd. But as I pretended to throw it, the guitar strap was kind of shorter than I thought. And my front foot was right up against the monitor. So my momentum was going. I was like, oh shit. Like I threw myself off the stage. And so I basically leapt into it to make it like to not hurt myself. And Jared Kiso, the star of the TV show Letterkenny, caught me. He was in the front row. He's a friend of mine. So he was there in Montreal and he literally was like, caught me. And I was like, my head comes up. I'm like, and I like ran downstairs into the green room and I stayed there until the whole club was empty. Like I was so embarrassed. So I was like, I don't want to go back to Montreal. But then we did. And, we had a good time.
Well, that wasn't a story I was expecting, that you fell off a stage and got caught by a dude from Letterkenny, which is amazing. But you do, you've composed music for, which brings up another question. You've composed music for TV, and for film. Like, how is that different from writing an actor's record?
It's really different, like because with anything with the visual component, you're writing music for certain scene or a certain director's vision. So it's very much that's you're doing the skill part of it, and you have to be flexible because they might need something for the next day, and it's like 2 a.m. They're like, actually, let's go to a G chord instead of an F here. It doesn't sound quite right. You're like, oh shit. So it's a super different process, which is good. Like it's fun work. I prefer in the long run to do actors music. I want to have that intellectual property and legacy of like I want to express myself as much as I can, and time is the real commodity, So, but yeah, they're very much different worlds, but you still bring your taste and your experiences and your skill set. Like, I would love for someone to say like, oh, I'm going to be doing this movie, and Jay, I want it to be, I want you to just get inspired and do what you think is going to work, or like I want it like this movie, or I would love to do like something I can get really immersed into and really get creative with, instead of just kind of like being a utility musician for a specific scene,
Yeah.
But that being said, like I did a lot of work on Letterkenny, and I got to really do some really cool stuff. Like from techno to country music to like, and it was fun. So, because they would only call upon me for those type of like, not transitional, but when something's going to get featured, like I did the Christmas special and stuff, and I had my Gretsch doing my Brian Setzer chords and stuff, and so it can be a lot of fun. But right now, I've been super focused on the band, as the new music and the tours, and it's just something that's been really rewarding.
Yeah, well, it sounds super cool, and I'm glad you are. A few questions will wrap up here. Here's one that'll make you think. If actors never happened, what do you think your life looks like today?
Probably spending more time with artists at Jacknife Sound, helping people achieve their artistic vision and their goals as best as I can. Help facilitate that. I found a lot of I find a lot of satisfaction in that. I love working with artists who are hungry to dig to the best version of themselves artistically, whether it's a performance or something as simple as an arrangement, or how they promote their song to the masses. Like, I think that's where I would be doing more and more. Like, I still do mixing too. I do a lot of mastering. But that's not as in depth as working with an artist one-on-one and like being in the studio, and you share an experience and you have bonds with people that on some level it's like you're for a time you can be like family, and when you're lucky, those relationships continue on forever. I spent almost 20 years in the restaurant industry serving tables, and I thought, as I was creeping up on 40, I thought, oh man, this is going to be the rest of my life. And I'm tired of this, because I'm older than everyone here. And when I started, I was younger than everyone. And the whole time I was doing music, but I was just feeling off, and the real, like, I don't want to be one of those preachy guys, but I feel like I really need to address it is when I turned 40, I quit drinking. And when I quit drinking, I was able to, it opened up enough room in my life to let a little more sunshine in, to see what I had to be doing to make my life work better artistically as a musician. And that's basically when I got Jacknife Sound, the space. And it all happened really organically, even producing. Like, I didn't set out to become a producer. It's just, people heard me do and they said, help me with my vocals. Can you help me with this single? Can you help me with this 7-inch? Can you help me with my EP? Can you help me with an album? Now I'm like, I've made like 30, 40 records with people, and leathers and actors. And, I've mastered countless albums and singles and mixes. And I've done remixes for, like, just did the Massive Ego Boy George remix, did the Modern English remix, Clan of Zymox remix. Like, this is stuff that, like, I don't even know how it happened. Like, it's just been organic and following the process. And I think really it started when I quit drinking and kind of gave time spiritually for myself.
There's such a lesson in that, and we've had numerous guests on the show talk about their sobriety and things like that, and it's a really tough thing, to go through, right? Like how did you do it? Like what helped you get sober? And congratulations, by the way, on the sobriety.
Oh, thanks.
It's not easy, especially in Vancouver. It's so tough there. But no, honestly, I'm not joking. I've spent summers there.
Yeah.
Like what helped you? Like, how did you do it?
Well, like I said, I worked in the restaurant industry, and it was a very party atmosphere.
Yeah.
More so than most restaurants. Like, it was a nightclubby
Was it Cactus Club in English Bay?
No. It was called Section 3.
Okay.
And like it was in Yaletown, and it was there. It was called De Niro's before Robert De Niro was threatened to sue us, and we had to change the name. And like famous people would come there, Queens of the Stone Age, like Sean Penn, like met all these different people there, Ryan Gosling. But like it was kind of like a hole in the wall. It wasn't like corporate at all. It was just run by my boss Sally, and I was the general manager and served. And it was like a martini supper club, but we went hard. And a lot of musicians worked there, a couple actors. It was like stereotypical fun, but good people. And we had really great regulars, and I just partied. Not every night, but like 2 or 3 nights out of the week. I'm talking like overboard. And then you realize it closed down, and I was like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And then I kind of started switching gears, and I worked at a different place for about 2 years. And I was like, oh, the rest of the world doesn't go that hard. like not everyone's like having shots of chilled vodka with their Guinness and doing a bump. Like
Yeah.
that's not the go-to on a Wednesday night. I was like, oh, really? I thought that's my life.
Yeah.
So it was the change. It was taking myself, it wasn't my choice, but I was taken out of the atmosphere that was really keeping me into that lifestyle. That plus it just got to a point where I was I was blacking out, and I was doing crazy shit, like very something I would go sideways and get violent and smash something, or drive, or like just doing stuff where I'm like, I look back and like, I'm glad I didn't kill anybody.
Yeah. Like
for real. Like, and then people say to me, Jay, I never saw you as someone with a drinking problem. Well, people think of an alcoholic being someone who's just like wakes up in the morning shaking and they physically need the drink. It's like, yeah, but I was like the binge drinker, and it can be equally as destructive. So it just got to the point where I was like, oh boy, if I'm ever going to get out of this, it's now.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that with us, because that's profound. I think it's important for people to hear. Right. And, there's this old adage that, you need chaos, and you need, addiction and all these type of things to make the music meaningful. It's not true. It's not true.
Like they say, you don't have to be going through a breakup, like, and being upset to sing a song about a breakup.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think David Lynch was out like murdering people and whatever he was doing in his brain.
No, in fact, if you watch videos of him, he's actually kind of funny behind the scenes. Like, he jokes around and stuff. What music inspires you currently, or art? What are you listening to? Who's on your playlist?
I'll listen to like suggested Spotify and this like kind of follow suggestions and, check out things. And whenever something catches my ear, I was saying this to Shannon, like when a band really catches my ear, I'll be like, watch this. They're going to have like no listeners. And I'll go and I'll be like, wow, their monthly plays are like so low, but they're doing something interesting. And I think that's pretty wild that happens kind of over and over. And it's not like, oh, I like this because it's weird. It's just like, oh no, that caught my ear. This band's got something with this song. It sounds really cool. It's tapping into something I really like. And you go and it's like, oh yeah, it's like people creating, and doing cool stuff. I'll one day I'll wake up and I'll put on ZZ Top Tres Hombres and like riff out to that and jump in the shower. And the next day I'm listening to like Stan Christ hardcore techno. I was listening to like Compromat. That's the side project from Vitalik and his partner there. And so it's all over the map. One thing I don't really listen to is like Darkwave and like 80s retro stuff. Like,
actually,
yeah. Like, I guess I see so much of it when we're on tour. It's like,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I only bring it up because I think people assume I'd be like super into like, but like I like it, but like, if I'm going to listen to darker music, I wouldn't even say darker, like a band like The Sound. I've spent a lot of time listening to them. A band that really inspired me right around when I started writing actors music was The Soft Moon, because he was creating and releasing music. Like when I saw his first couple of videos on YouTube, there was hardly anyone listening to him, and I thought, oh, this guy's like coming out of left field and just doing whatever he wants, and it sounds cool and fresh, and it really inspired me to believe in being able to do that myself on some level. And so it got me interested in really like producing more and following my muse that way.
Yeah.
But
so cool.
From day to day, it could be anything like old school Judas Priest or Godflesh or, Charlie XCX one day or,
I think that's the way with most creatives too, is they got a pretty eclectic mix of music. It's not that, there's not just one thing they listen to, but I always like to ask that question. So you've got new music coming. Our love will live forever. Our love will live forever. Like, what can we expect with that? What feels different about this chapter, this album?
I just think, I feel like from the beginning of Actors, it was like a rock in the pond, and then it just rippled out. So it's all actors, but it's just sonically expanding. That's how I feel. It's like, if this song's kind of more electronic sounding, I'm going to go more electronic sounding. If this one's more, instruments like a bit more traditional drum, bass, guitar, then I'm going to go further into, like, it's going to go in all directions more, is how I feel. And just exploring how to push the boundaries of those emotions and just honing down the songs to just be really express myself. So like the songs that I released a year and a half ago are Object of Desire, Dead Inside, and In Real Life. Those are 3 songs that will be on the record, which I'm really excited about. They're going to get a quick, I'm going to mix and mash them again for the record. The new song that just came out, Control, is obviously on the new record. And then we've got a few more singles, and then the album will be out. So I think it's just the next step of where I'm at musically compared to where each album is just going to be a honest expression of what I want to be doing on stage at that time. And
Control is awesome. I mean, it must be getting a ton of plays.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's really good because it's obviously Actors, the sound and everything else, but the production on it's so good.
Oh, thank you.
Like what you did in Jacknife Studio, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
The production on it is just like, I'm not a musician. So I don't know how to describe this properly, but you can hear the production level just being like this a little bit.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I think,
is that accurate?
Yeah. Like the past year, I really kind of tore down and rebuilt up kind of how I was approaching, how I was mixing and producing and trying to push myself to sonically improve, to fully express like how I wanted the music to impact. And I feel like with Control, I feel like at this moment, that's exactly the pinnacle of kind of like what I could do with a song like that. And I'm really, really excited about it. And I feel like the rest of the songs coming out are just going to like blow people's hair back. Like, it's going to be exciting.
I can't wait. Okay. Here's a fun one before we wrap up here. Here's a fun one. If you can, and I want to ask you, I don't want to ask this on every episode we used to, but this one makes you think. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, past or present, any 3 people in history, past or present, who would they be and why?
Oh boy, it'd be like, I'm so cliche. Like David Bowie,
Okay. Yep.
David Lynch.
Mm-hmm. David Morrell. 3 Daves. I like it. Let's go. Let's
I'm into it.
yeah. That'd be fun
Oh
to do.
man, I don't even know who the third one would be. Probably the director Tarkovsky.
Okay, so David
Andre
Bowie.
Yeah.
So one musician, 2
Directors.
Directors. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tarkovsky, because I'm Russian on my mother's side, and and he has a really interesting philosophy about filmmaking, and I just think he'd be like a really weird, interesting guy. Only if you could speak really good English, though.
Yeah, no translators. We get some really interesting answers on that one, like shocking ones. Sometimes you're like, "What? Who?" Like,
Really?
Yeah, that's always a fun one.
Oh, you know what? No, Tarkovsky, Elvis.
Oh, okay. We've had Elvis before.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah.
Just because I was such a fan of Elvis, I'd be like, can you imagine sitting at a table with him, like 30-year-old Elvis? You'd be like, what?
Yeah, original disruptor. Yeah,
yeah, original disruptor.
Yeah, he really was, man. I didn't grow up with Elvis, but and my parents didn't play a lot of Elvis, so it wasn't on the radar. It wasn't until years later where I appreciated who he was and what he did actually, but he was cool.
Okay, here's a good story.
Yeah.
So in my 20s, when I was playing in a band called Saddle Sores, which was like our cowpunk psychobilly, we used to do some Elvis Presley covers. Mm-hmm. I used to dream about Elvis. Like I had a gold lame suit that I would tour in. We were playing a club in Hollywood, and there was like maybe 20 people there. And there was this guy that was doing an acoustic version of songs, and he just got signed, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's just coming in to do something, small." And so we're playing, and in comes Lisa Marie Presley with her entourage.
What?
And I'm playing a fucking Elvis song on stage because we had just played Costa Mesa the night before, and there was a drug dealer named Elvis who was literally feeding us cocaine all night. So I am messed up. I shouldn't even have been on stage. And I have a cowboy hat on playing this song. And then I look, and Lisa Marie Presley is like in spitting distance of me. And I was just like, I just shrunk like, oh my God.
Yeah, just back off stage. Back off stage.
It was wild. It was wild.
Did you see her response? Did you get a response?
You know what? I saw her face, and she was just like looking up at me and us. And then I kind of tipped my cowboy hat down, and then she kind of moved to the back and was like surrounded by people. I thought, do I go over there? And I was like, no, it wasn't appropriate.
Just ignore it. Never happened. Yeah. That is a wild story.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wild. It really was.
That sounds very similar. We had Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 on, and he was talking about how he was playing at where was it, in Minneapolis, and they were doing they were playing Purple Rain, and at the moment they were doing their version of Purple Rain. Prince came in on the balcony and sat down, and him describing it is you're dying.
Yeah,
it's one of the funniest stories ever.
Yeah.
Actually, the funniest story. What you mentioned Led Zeppelin. We had Jay Moore on the show. Saturday Night Live. He's an actor, comedian.
I know.
Yeah, so we had Jay Moore on the show, and he used to have a show called More Stories, and he interviewed Perry Farrell. And I'll send you the clip. I got to send you the clip because it's funny as hell. Anyways,
that's good.
I'll send you the clip. It's actually really funny. But anyways, listen, Jason, I really enjoyed this. Where can the people find you, follow you? Where do you want us to go? Subscribe, click, all that stuff.
Well, we're on all the socials as Actors the Band. You can do actorstheband.com, and it will take you to everywhere you need to go.
Okay, actorstheband.com, and all the socials are on there. Yeah, it looks great, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's fantastic. But anyways, Jason, again, been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, can't wait for the new music, man. And the tour that is not coming to Montreal. To Montreal, but whatever.
Early next year.
Early.
Thank you.
Take the rest of the day off, Jason. Enjoy the rain.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, brother.
See you guys. Peace.
Bye-bye.